I feel like it's just down to your own personal perspective, because only you can release yourself from this one. Keep in mind, like you said, the agents are here to stay, they don't go anywhere. Everybody is working for an agent, so they're just another agent. Like, they're just the copy of the agent, you know what I'm saying? So when you really think of it, it's how do you release self? Because when you're saying like silence and peace here, the inside of you has to be released. You have to be looking for things that are only found on the inside, and therefore that is how you strip away the things that they're opposing you from the outside, because they try and attack your inside with outside things. So what you have to do is strengthen the outside, and in that same time you're flourishing, you're releasing it, you're strengthening it, and even you're connecting with other people's insides. Therefore, it's teamwork. Teamwork always wins, you know what I'm saying? You can break one slip, you can't break many. And in that way, you're opposing the man, you know what I'm saying? You're putting one in their head and then you're shooting my man, you know what I'm saying? That's what you're doing. That's the only way to really shoot back at the man.
So, sorry, hey. This is why the full sense of self, the ego, is dangerous. This is why they say your biggest enemy is yourself, right? Because that's how they get you. Because really, minus your full sense of self, they can't attack you. They only attack what you identify with. But if you was just source, what can you attack? Because there's nothing. There's nothing to attack. But once you attach, once you like connect with ego on every level, you are fucked. You're fucked because you've brought into the idea that like I, me, mine. But there is none. There is nothing.
It's attachment to the wrong things.
Attachment to the wrong thing.
Can I just bring up as well, just another thing my guy Styles P said before he went on stage because that was just released from the man. The world needed that type of masculine energy because it hasn't been seen. This was you know, we were talking about last time, and I was saying you saying you can't go there, suicide. But that suicidal situation, quote, said the world needed that masculine energy because they haven't seen that. There's some kids that don't even know that that type of energy even existed. They probably sat there flabbergasted. And my guy Styles P said, before the stage, they held up and prayed, may the bond be more important than the dollar and the ego. Teamwork makes the dream work. That is just everything. How can the bond be stronger than the dollar and the ego? Because they know about the man and the plan. It has to be internal for the external. And another quote I like to always say is, when you're feeling without, look within.
No, I thought you were going to send it down to tea, you know.
That was kind of smooth.
Yeah, I like that one.
Well, back to the question of how do you deal with it. My first thought was kind of like what H said, to go, if you're going to go on quote, if you don't go within, you go without. So my thought was the inner standing of self first, because in order to work on self, you have to inner, under and overstand your being, and not you as the outside shell, you as, like I would say, the source, the forget the body, is the internal, so it's your soul. Once you get in touch with that, you understand yourself, you can then work on yourself from inside out, like we said, because to me you can't see what's out there from an internal perspective if you're not in tune with your internal. So you seeing everything on the outside and someone saying to you, oh, that's an agent, that's an agent, that's an agent. Oh, okay, cool, I'ma just do. And you're not really passing them, you're just kind of pushing them back, if you know what I mean. Like, so it's like, oh yeah, let me do that, I will hold them off to let me get a few steps forward. That's not what you want to keep doing, because you're shimmying, you're not actually dealing with. So if you can deal with yourself, and I say self at the deepest level, you then build out on your external, like you said, now you can build your coat of armor. your coat of armor. If you need to back them off, back them off. But you need to have the strength from within to have the strength outside to deal with it. So I would assume it was inner work.
And to add to that, right, don't ever get twisted. It's always a fight. It's always a fight. In this realm, it's a battle of souls. They are taking souls and minds. So the war is constant. Because they are trying to turn you into one of them. So whether you know it or not, you're always like, propaganda is an attack on your psyche, right? How do you fight that? Like, how do you fight something that's not physically smashing you in? Mentally, it's attacking you. But how do you defend that? Turn it off? Because it's always going to be there. It's not through TV, radio, newspapers.
You have to get a book, man. You have to get a book. Has to be books.
But I say that to say this is war. This is for the souls. They want the souls. Mortal Kombat weren't no joke team. Shang Tsung wanted souls to keep them, as we said. And as well, the elite, that they want the purest of the purest. They want the blood of the youth. Because if the youth are at war with each other, who's gonna fight the war? Because the older lot are finished. They're done. And once you get to a certain point, you can't break someone out of it because they'll kill themselves or they'll kill you.
Sorry, before Rush has that answer.
No, James got
I would have said from what Anne just said, it's not just you fighting you, it's not just us fighting them. It's basically got to a stage where it's like mortal fighting immortal. Like with you saying that them trying to take from the youth, that they want the everlasting youth, they want the blood of, they want the soul. Once you have the soul doesn't die. So if you've got someone that's absorbing souls of others as well as anything else that they have and you only have your own, that is like you've got your mortal side and your immortal side, or your physical and your spiritual fighting something that is never gonna die, externally or internally. That's when you think about it logically, it's a fight you'll never win. However, if everyone then becomes in tune and fights on a spiritual level, you can, because you then stop those ones from gaining what's keeping them immortal. Do you understand what I mean? So it's like, it's a constant war because we're fighting in every realm. We're not just fighting here in the physical existence, they've now taken it beyond. So we're fighting in the light and we're fighting in the darkness. And in the darkness, if you're fighting blind.
We're all soldiers. But who are we fighting for?
But listen to that term. It's not spelled that way, but listen to the word. Soldiers. That's what it does. When you've got soldiers out there, most of them suffer with PTSD, yeah? That's a mental thing.
It's mad that you picked up on that brainwave because
yeah,
That's usually your thing, isn't it?
it's a psychological thing that never leaves them.
So I'll bring it back down to the earth because you lot are in the universe and they're not. So I'm talking. I'll bring it back down to digestible because what you lot were saying.
We went with it, innit? This one was just like, I'm gonna let them. What was the first question when I was like, when we talk about agents, what
right.
are we talking about? And he was talking about bailiffs and courts and you look, wait.
I'll give you an example. What they did is they explained. So if you watch, there's a lot of movies out there now, especially action movies, or if you watch like cartoons, Dragon Ball Z. The ultimate kind of, there's always the same message. The blueprint is there in Matrix, in Dragon Ball Z, in lots of other things, where the stronger you become actually is the inner peace, right? They're giving you the blueprint, and the Dragon Ball Z thing is deep because they're showing you the different realms and the different energy they use. Because you know there's actual dragon energy that people use to heal and things like that. But if I bring it back to earth a little bit in terms of helping some of the people understand, because not everyone will understand. When we talk about agents and how I deal with them, is I don't deal with them if I'm using my human senses. I don't go into emotion with agents. I play what they do. Because if we think about when you look at the police, for instance, they never deal with you in emotion.
They're not people when
They're
police.
trained, and the army to do the same thing. They emotionally abuse you. So when you go into war, you're not in an emotional state because it clouds your judgment, and you have to see things as immortal, like so they're not human to be able to complete the missions. So how I deal with agents of the system is very, because you're not trapping me into this emotional battle. My emotional, but I want to have emotional conversations when I'm with people I feel safe with. I don't feel safe with you, and I can see it, and it's really interesting because really what you're doing is mirroring what they are, and they fucking hate it. Especially when you're dealing with things like babies. You're like, oh hi, how you doing? Oh, here's a notice. What's this? What have you given me? Oh, just a notice of implied rights of access removed. So it means you've got half an hour. I'm going to give you discretion because I'm a nice guy to get off my property. Not even my property, but we can assume it is, or you have to pay $5 grand. Huh? Let me call yeah. I'm not threatening no violence because I'm not in an emotional state, so you can't call the police. If you call the police, they will say to you, you need to go to court and get proper warrant of execution. So there's all these things. So even with teachers, I had it the other day at the hospital, and it was really interesting because you don't have to say much, but you can give them the egoistic title. So they will deal with you in a certain way, like, oh, get off, and I'm like, oh, interesting. I see what the agents are trying to do, pull me out of my energy, get me into anger. Then they can call the security, and then I look like the angry black dude who is trying to start a fight. Oh, okay, interesting. Give him a title when you say, oh yeah, this is where I work, and all of a sudden, oh yes, hey sir, da, 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 da. And I find it really interesting when you're dealing with agents is they do not like their own game being played with them. So it's important that for people who are dealing with agents daily, that you do your research, you start reading, you start playing the logic game. So when I always tell people, when you get into a situation with authorities that are in your face and all this stuff, there's no winning. They're like, if you fight, there's no winning, you're always gonna lose. That's the reality of this realm. You're in hell. So they have hell tactics. So it's important that you know how to play the calm card, and because that was going to give you time to think and also time to be strategic in terms of, okay, let's use their rules on them. So when you're dealing with a bailiff, for instance, who has come to take your claims to come and take your goods, right? If a bailiff has come to claim and take your goods, you've got to understand, number one, let go of your attachment to these fucking goods, because they're not even yours anyway. So whatever they're taking, they're not taking you. So guess what? Let them have it. And if you want to have fun, you can start doing what I do, which is send them notices, so you can see how the game that they use, you can flip it back on them, and they start getting confused because at the end of the day they're human. But it's really important that people understand that there's a bigger program, which we will obviously, that's when we start going up into the universe, because they represent something bigger than themselves. But you get into a battle with them. This is why I say emotions is not the game you want to play with the people that are the agents that are in your face, because they're not the problem, they're the program. The program's up, and so this is why we have to study. They thrive on us not knowing. And so for me, what I've been doing over the years is studying what this system, how it's created, the history of it, what its blueprints, what it's done cleverly to condition us, how it uses language and spells on us, all these little things. But once you get it, you realize that because you don't have I don't have no fear about anything. You can lock me up, but you can't lock me up.